Tailgaters is featuring carbless handcrafted vodka cocktails, and domestic pounders are also on special.
So go enjoy the Tailgaters patio and live music outside on Thursday night at 6:30.
This week, Fury will be playing at Tailgaters, corner of Main and University in downtown Fargo.
Hey, welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday afternoon. It's 106 right now, looking at mainly sunny to partly cloudy conditions across the area. Temperatures right now, let's take a wild stab. Bridgette, what's the temperature outside?
Very warm.
It is very warm. Dean, can you make it a little more close to being precise?
It was 88 last hour. I'm going to go 89 right now.
And it is 89 degrees. Your heat index is 94, so it is another warm day, and we're shooting for highs in the low 90s today. We're going to check on the forecast.
What's that dew point, 69?
Coming up here in just a moment. It is 69 degrees for the dew point.
I heard that western South Dakota has flash flood warnings already today because they are concerned about what they might get for rainfall.
They've got heavy rainfall coming their way.
They could get some big boy rains.
They're going to wash away the bikes in Sturgis.
They sure will.
Oh, that's right. That is this week, isn't it? Oh, man.
I can't believe you're here. I just can't believe you're here.
He's not a biker.
Yeah, man.
Does he look like a biker?
None of them look like bikers. That's what they do on the weekend.
He might have a nickname. But he's far from a biker.
Hi, Dean. Good to see you.
How you doing, Dean?
Welcome.
Glad
to have you here, buddy.
This is why I'm only in studio rarely.
How much longer do we have?
We got approximately 52 more minutes.
Right.
Of harassment.
Oh, man.
Take it to
Are you
HR.
going to make it?
Our poor guest today in-house, and he's got to deal with this, with these shenanigans? Man.
I like that for a change. Dean is like, would you two stop it? Normally, that's my job.
You know, Bentley's been up here, and he's been telling, all these jokes. So I can't repeat some. I mean, they're not bad jokes, but I just can't remember them. This is mind goes. But I was running across this on Facebook. I showed Justin. He didn't think it was funny. I thought it was a meme. It was Bernie, or it was Bert asking Ernie, Ernie, would you like some ice cream? And Ernie goes, sure, Bert.
Oh, cute.
Get it?
Yeah, I get that.
That was actually.
Sure, Bert.
I promised one of our Facebook listeners.
Oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
Now it's funny.
It was off Rebecca's page, so I got to give her some kudos.
That's good.
Hashtag
That was the
dad
laugh.
jokes.
That was
That's
a laugh
fun.
of the day.
Moving on.
See,
What are we moving on to?
Funny either. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good.
We have a interview left from last week in Baltic, South Dakota.
We sure do.
Dean was ever so graciously pulling the load for all of us.
Man, you weren't kidding. It was hot down there.
It was hot.
Yeah.
I was in a car driving back because United Airlines dumped me in Denver and said that's enough for
from
you.
California
There's
to
a ringing endorsement for
Colorado.
United.
Colorado to Wyoming,
I'm not-
Wyoming to South Dakota, South Dakota back to Noda.
I'm not angsty about it or anything.
14 hours in the car, huh?
Whatever. It was a
didn't
lot.
do it for you?
I wasn't in love with it, but thank you to Hertz for renting me the Malibu Barbie car that got me here.
Nice.
Appreciate that.
Were you listening to
Did
the
they
Barbie
really?
World song?
I probably could have, but yeah, it was a Malibu, and my driving partner, she and I both had Malibu Barbies as kids, so we only felt it was fitting. So we should play that interview that you've got with Ryan Hunt with FMC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Correct?
we got that. Yeah,
All right, what you got?
Why don't we get that queued up? We'll give it a listen, and then we'll dissect it here.
Okay.
Well, we're live out here at Ag PhD Field Day. Ryan Hunt is joining me. Ryan, what exactly do you do?
So I'm tech service manager for FMC in the Northern Plains, covering North Dakota, South Dakota, northern half of Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah, working with a lot of row crops, wheat, sugar beets, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides.
Gotcha. So tell us a little bit about the mid-season agronomic report and outlook.
Yeah, so it's kind of scattered. The rain's been pretty spotty where we've been getting the pop-up showers. Things look good, but there's definite drought stuff going on. And the heat, we have been seeing some good results where we've put down our Xyway fungicide at plant on our corn, helping out with that drought stress and just having a healthier plant, being able to maximize the moisture we have had.
Is there any specific areas that are worse than others?
You know, it seems like the western part of North Dakota and South Dakota is doing better than the east for once.
Which is usually
kind of opposite.
Kind of opposite.
Yep.
So what kind of moisture do we need here over the next let's say 3 weeks?
Just a little cooler weather and just some consistent moisture. Nothing major, but just a couple nice, soakers, half-inch.
Right.
These beans and corn are right at that reproductive stage where they really need a good shot and a little cool weather to really finish off the year and maximize that yield out there.
Right. Okay. Tell us a little bit about the growing challenge of these pesky grasshoppers and armyworms as well.
Yeah. So the grasshoppers, this is the third year in a row, and I can't remember them ever being this bad for more than 2 years in a row.
Really?
And they, we've got them all the way over in the Red River Valley again this year, which isn't typical. And they're really tough to control when they come in this thick. We've got a product called Vantacor insecticide, which it'll give you about 2 weeks, maybe 3, depending on the weather, residual. So where a lot of growers are having to come in with their insecticide 2-3 times, this you can go out there one time. It lasts real long. It's very safe for workers, and as far as a pre-harvest interval as well.
Right.
It's really, really good on them. It doesn't really affect the beneficials. So it's more of a rifle approach than a shotgun approach with our other insecticides. But the longevity of it and just keeping them out in that residual so you don't have to come back has really, really been key to keeping these from spreading, and then we won't have them hopefully as bad next year.
Okay. And what about kochia? How are we going to keep ahead of that? Is that a big problem this year?
Yeah, it's a problem every year, but it's only getting worse and worse. We've got more resistance issues documented this year with NDSU.
Why is that, do you think?
We're very dependent on a couple key modes of action herbicides, and they're on, when you really get down to it, like our group 14s and our group 4s are really, really probably getting overused because it's about the only thing you can use on most of our broadleaf crops.
Okay.
So that gets a high acreage. So the key is going to be scouting your fields, knowing where the problem areas are. We're going to have to start doing some fall herbicide applications, like a product like Anthem Flex. Get it out there post-harvest once it starts to cool out a little bit before it freezes, and you'll get a good start into your season next year. Because if we wait to try and burn them off in the spring, they're really starting to take over and get pretty thick.
Yeah, that's too late. So if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can go contact your local retailer agronomist. They've got our info, or just go to fmc.ag.usa and you can find our, your local contacts info there.
Excellent. Ryan, hey, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the day out here.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, so what do we think about that? He had a lot of information that he was talking about, and I want to first touch on the mid-season report that he was talking about at the beginning of that. Bridgette, what are these mid-season reports on the agronomy of it? Is it just how the plants are developing, what stages they're at, how they look?
Right, and what pests are affecting the crop. Ryan brought up grasshoppers, which we have mentioned most of the way through this spring. We were in ideal conditions for grasshoppers all the way along since we that's a cricket.
Oh, close enough.
Close enough. But in eastern Montana, starting out very early this year after snow melt, we had a spring that was really warm. We had a lot of eggs. They didn't get washed away because we didn't have fast-moving water to move through the grass. And we have already seen a number of farmers that were treating field ditches and field margins, because if you can control them there before they move into the rest of the crop and then try to attack that green foliage, that's important. Ryan mentioned when it comes to when it comes to grasshoppers, this is very much a rifle approach. The day of having extremely broad spectrum insecticides is gone. We no longer have a one and done situation where you can spray and everything is taken care of. It's much more restrictive now because, number one, you want to protect your beneficials that are already out there, those insects. And number two, you want to also focus on the fact that different insects will be controlled by different insecticides based on their mouth parts, how that insecticide works. So if you're
like sideways jaws and up and down jaws,
if you're a sap feeder,
2 and 4,
if you're a sap feeder versus a moving mouth parts, a chewer, that kind of thing, that's how you're going to ingest differently, and that's how the insecticides would affect you differently too.
Cool.
Yeah, chewing versus variety. Yep.
So what would you? I know the bug expert that you are, Bridgette.
Oh, no, we're going to have a bug expert next week. We will have a doctor of entomology next week.
So maybe I should hold the question till then.
Yeah.
Because what
could.
kind of a winter and spring do we need to put that in control?
So, okay, mark my words for this when we talk with Dr. Pasifka next week. When we have years that are dry, we have a bigger problem with insects than we do with disease. We will still see disease like molds and wilts, head blights and rust and so forth in wet years. And she might be able to give us a little insight on some of the bugs that we do see besides grasshoppers when it's dry.
But it hasn't been an overly dry.
Dry enough.
Yeah.
Because
the year before was pretty dry, and
we're seeing
last year was drier.
Yeah, dry fall.
Or was it 2 years ago now?
2 years
2
ago.
years ago.
But we're spraying a lot of fields right now for soybean aphids. And there were planes flying over Kindred just this morning spraying some fields. And we know that when it's dry like this, especially this time of the year in August, we will have soybean aphids followed by spider mites. They'll be the next one to move into our soybeans.
So I got one here for you,
Okey-dokey.
Bridgette. It doesn't matter if it's hot and dry or hot and wet, cool and dry. Don't matter. There's always some issue that's affecting the ag community, whether or not it's a fungus, a bacteria, or an insect, or something else, or a combination of those.
Yes.
Is there one ideal situation that's better than the other ones, or maybe something that someone would rather deal with this than that, whether or not it's being dry and dealing with grasshoppers, or maybe it's wet and fungus? Is there one that's maybe a little more ideal than the others?
I think it's going to go by crop. So if I get to make my choice, and this is purely my opinion, if it was wheat, I would rather deal with disease in wheat than bugs because I feel like I have a better way of controlling the disease than I do the bug.
Right.
Weed control is a whole different game. I mean, I spent all day yesterday talking about kochia and how we have to try to control kochia long term in any crop we have in North Dakota. That's a whole different animal. I mean, literally. So, yeah, I think it's variable by crop.
I see. All right. Well, phone number to the program is 701-293-9000. If you want to get queued up, we have our guest that'll be joining us here in just a moment. And that's going to be Mark Wagner of North Dakota Estate Services. So if you have any questions for him, if you get a question halfway through the interview, feel free to give us a call at 701-293-9000, or you can get a hold of us via email at weatheroreg@flagfamily.com. Stay tuned because we'll be right back with Mark.
Hi, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki. You know weather is always changing, so if it's the morning commute with Bonnie and friends, or the drive home with Jay Thomas, or if you have important weekend plans, be sure to join meteorologist Justin Storm and myself to get you the current conditions and future conditions to get you through the day. For the most accurate forecast in the Valley, keep it here at AM 970, 93.1 FM, WDAY.
As farming technology evolves, our crops have tremendous potential. But do you realize how much yield you lose to crop stresses? As corn and soybeans enter the mid-season, their biggest threats are excessive heat and lack of moisture. Protect your crops this summer with Heat Shield from Hefty Naturals. Applied full year, Heat Shield is a living microbe designed to improve plant tolerances to heat and drought, cooling crops and preserving yields for harvest. Shield your crop from the worst this summer can bring with Heat Shield from Hefty Naturals, exclusively at Hefty Seed Company.
In need of a reliable, durable building for your farm, business, man, or she shed? Look no further than Thor Buildings. At Thor Buildings, they specialize in post-frame construction. They use the highest quality materials to ensure that your building can withstand the toughest conditions. Buildings that are designed with your specific needs in mind and built to last. With their experienced team of designers, engineers, and construction experts, you can trust that your building will be built with the utmost precision and attention to detail. So when it's time to put the hammer down, build with Thor.
It's summer in a big way. So go big at Mall of America. Your summer adventure is on with the stay at Radisson Blu Mall of America, conveniently connected to the mall. Swim a little, spa a little, shop up to 500 stores, enjoy every kind of dining, and so much more. Nickelodeon Universe has live Paw Patrol shows. Then get creative with the youngest ones at Crayola Experience. So you can go big just by going to Mall of America. mallofamerica.com/summer.
Embarrassed by ugly yellow toe fungus?
Living with toe fungus it's embarrassing. I was afraid to take my socks off. I hid my yellow and crumbly toes from everybody.
Introducing Crystal Flush. Crystal Flush is the only FDA-registered 2-in-1 home treatment that attacks your toe fungus from both the inside and out. Crystal Flush's new and different combination system knocks out toe fungus for good. Guaranteed.
Crystal Flush is different. After just a few weeks, my fungus was gone. 100% disappeared. Crystal Flush was the only thing that ever worked. So if you're skeptical because you tried a bunch of other stuff, Crystal Flush is different. This is a game changer.
Crystal Flush is now available without a prescription, but it is not available in stores. Get your risk-free supply today. Go to crystalflush.com. That's CRYSTAL flush.com. Stop being embarrassed by ugly yellow toenails. Go to crystalflush.com or call 800-204-4484.
This could be the start of a break-in.
Stop. This is Simply Safe.
Or the end of one.
Police are on their way.
Introducing the latest innovation in home security. 24/7 LiveGuard protection, only from Simply Safe. Now, agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Sunday at 6 a.m. Planning for your financial future can be stressful. It involves investments, taxes, insurance, and estate planning. At Creative Planning, we have an entire team working for you, including wealth managers, CPAs, and attorneys, all in one place, all working together. Let Creative Planning show you a richer way to wealth. Visit creativeplanning.com. That's creativeplanning.com.
Welcome back to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette, Readel, Ag Director, and maybe we forgot to do this part at the start of the hour, but I have with me Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki. I was waiting for the sounder.
The PC is turned on.
Oh, silly.
Now it's on.
All right, and the guy running that stuff is Justin Storm, meteorologist. And thank you to our Here We Grow sponsors, Irie Insurance. We greatly appreciate the work you're doing with us. It is summertime. Not only do we have to insure our crop, but keep an eye out for your boats, your jet skis, everything else. Talk to the folks at Irie Insurance. You can reach them, irieinsurance.com. And then Steffes Group. We were just talking on the break that Steffes Group, as one of our sponsors, when it's time to do our Here We Grow video, we're going to an auction sale. Mm-hmm. So get your bidding hands warmed up.
We need Steve's credit card.
I got your credit card.
Just remember, if you wave your hand, you buy. So be careful.
Unless you're outbid.
Unless you're outbid. But if you're just like waving to greet someone, this could, spend $500.
Oh, man.
Careful.
How many people, are there any people in those auctions that are, I don't want to say plants, but, just to get the price going up and up and up?
So it would probably depend on the size of auction. This is probably one where we're not going to see that. But, I have heard those stories told if you're having a private family sale and the family's arguing. And so someone's bidding the other up on purpose kind of thing, which that is a great segue to our guest today. And so we have in studio with us today, Mark Wagner. He's with North Dakota State Services. And Mark is also a Here We Grow sponsor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely.
Okay. So let's dive into Dean's question a little bit here, Mark. Have you ever seen somebody try to drive up a price on their farm, et cetera, as they go through transition planning? And how did you, by the way, get into doing all this?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I actually grew up on a farm over by Groton, South Dakota. Milk more Holsteins you can shake a stick at. I put up more hay in the summer. I put up probably one time when we were in junior high, I personally stacked over 1,500 alfalfa square bales at like 80 pounds a piece.
Squares.
And 1,500. My little brother, who was 7 years old, drove the tractor, and I was 11. And I don't know how I got that bale was pretty heavier than I was. Then we got done. We had to walk up school both ways with one shoe. And then it snowed in our face no matter what we did.
And you got to know, those alfalfa bales, they are heavy and wet.
I didn't have any hair on my chest, but when I got done, I think what little hair I did have got all brushed off by the alfalfa. That was just brutal. It's a rude awakening. And if you're not careful, just what you were mentioning, it can really be traumatic, not just for family members, but for people who really want to farm but can't. So I think the question that has been proposed about transitioning and how do we transition, why do we transition, what tools do we use to transition is so vitally important, because nowadays, if you die, if you have a will by state law, when you die, all that farmland is going to be probated at your death. If you have a deedable property, including your home, including numbered accounts, including title vehicles, if they're all in your name when you die because they're in your name, they will be probated.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if you die with nothing, let's say you don't have anything, that's called dying intestate. And sometimes that happens, like with Prince, that music, we all like his songs. At least I did as a kid, and I still bop to him. 1999 came and went,
I remember it well.
But there's over 120 people saying, you know what? I have a right to that estate.
Sure.
When you have a will or do not have a will, first of all, after it's probate, in other words, you have all your assets in your name. When you're dead, you're legally called a corpse. That's your legal definition. You can't transfer your property. So a judge has to determine how that property is going to be transferred. First of all, it's the creditors. After they're all done, then it's going to be open to the beneficiaries. But what they do in the beneficiaries, the beneficiaries get a chance to decide, you know what? No, I was promised that over there and over here. I don't want that over there.
Yeah.
So in other words, guess what they're doing? All wills are subject to contestation. All wills are.
Oh.
Over 50% of all wills are contested. And when? Well, let me ask you, how do you determine the rights of a dead man? What you want? I mean, he said what he wants, but somehow we can misinterpret. Maybe they are woke beneficiaries. I don't know.
Well, and especially, all right, so in a farm situation, because all of a sudden a farmer dies unexpectedly. Nobody ever expects that today's the day I'm done.
No.
And then you don't have everything in place, and now you have farming and non-farming children who want to have a stake in the game.
There's a couple things that you bring into play, and there's really, when I sit down with the family, whether it's the very first time we're shaking hands before they agreed, yeah, Mark, let's try to come over here and help me, or if it's like the 15th time they see me and now they're sick of me because I've been wearing the same shirt the past 3 visits. This guy's starting to smell a little bit,
Somebody get him a new shirt.
But the first thing we talk about is how do you avoid that probate, and if that's a concern for them.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is because a probate can take up to 4 to up to 7% of your assets when you die, especially on farmland. That's worth $5,000-$6,000 per acre. I have an attorney.
Do the
in
math.
South
I don't have a calculator.
I have over 400 plus clients, all in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota. I have an attorney in South Dakota that said, Mark, attorneys will purposely, the ones that do the wills, guess why they do the wills? So they can get all the probate fees. Attorneys are always paid ahead of creditors and beneficiaries. Always, always, always.
So who's supposed to write your will for you as a farm family?
Well, you need to get a hold of somebody who's not just thinking about their back pocket.
Okay.
And I would recommend, hear me, I'm talking about me today, right? But I don't, the difference between me and a lot of these other guys, I don't care if you're a multi-gazillionaire, and I have clients that are 30, 25 plus million.
Dean.
And I got clients that are like 50,000.
That's after tomorrow.
Also, Dean.
We don't, the thing I'm trying to get at, we don't discriminate against you. We don't care if you're a multimillionaire. Our fees and our pricing are all flat fees. They're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter if I have to see you 15 times in a row and you're getting sick of me because you don't like me smelling, and obviously I haven't been rinsing my toupee, right, guys? I smell like I've been milking the Holsteins all day again.
Everybody in the live stream just looked at Mark's head and went, there's no hair on that head.
So really the first thing we talk about is the probate. And with a will or without a will, by state law, this is not what Mark, you can look it up, it's public knowledge, North Dakota, if you have a will or if you die intestate, it's got to be probated. In other words, not just that, but let's say you also have, because we're in the Fargo, Moorhead, we go across the river because you found that lovely house across there. It's a lake home. Well, now you have properties in 2 different states. Ooh. So now you're just not going to have one probate. You're going to have what?
2 states.
But, he has a couple bucks in the bank, and he said, these winters are a little bit tougher than I think. I think I'm going to
Go
go
to
down
Arizona.
south and buy a house. So your family just doesn't have to get in a probate in North Dakota, Minnesota, and also in Texas or Arizona.
Okay, Mark, you have spun quite the web that we're going to have to
Well, I'm just trying to say that's
we will come back. It is bottom of the hour. It is 1:31. We will be back to try to untangle that little web we wove. That was a lot. But we want to hear all those stories. And Mark, we may have some callers on our Red Wing Shoe phone line.
That would be wonderful.
There we go.
I'm always happy to tell them I don't know.
Okay. So dial us up, 701-293-9000. We will be back in just a moment.
Hello, Fargo. This is John Adams, your host of Talk of the Town. My show is designed to highlight everything great about the city, the valley, and the country in which we live. I've had the great fortune of meeting, working, and living with wonderful people in the Fargo-Moorhead area, and I want to bring their stories to you. Human interest stories, sports, timely topics that affect all of us in the Red River Valley. Talk of the Town with John Adams. Tune in for positivity and fun.
You're invited to worship with us at Olivet Lutheran Church in Fargo. We offer a 9 a.m. Sunday traditional service with communion where all are welcome to participate. If you can't worship with us in person, you can always watch live or later on our YouTube channel. Following worship, we have time for fellowship with coffee and donuts and light service projects like packing up food for our food pantry. For more information, go to olivet.org. Encounter Jesus, experience grace at Olivet Lutheran Church on the corner of 13th Avenue and South University Drive, Fargo.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday morning at 6. Join John each week as he challenges financial advice you've been given and reaffirms what you know to be true. If your financial plan doesn't include taxes, insurance, estate planning, and investing, it's incomplete and you can't afford to miss out. At Creative Planning, we provide all the expertise, all the advice you need, all in-house. To learn more, visit creativeplanning.com/radio.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
You could throw your flip-flop at a bug.
Ew, a bug, get it.
But the chances of actually hitting it
Over there!
are statistically
It's still alive.
unlikely. Good thing nature's got your back. Stem bug killers combine powerful active ingredients found in plants, like lemongrass and geraniol, and scientifically engineer them into effective bug-fighting formulas, safe for use as directed around people, pets, and throughout the home. Stem. Rooted in nature, optimized by science.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. GI Bill, SkillBridge, and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
They'll have you laughing right along with them. They're Bonnie and Friends.
I'm also training in an intern, so we're going to try our best to
I
work on that,
scared him
too.
yesterday. I yelled at him. I said, Grant, you starting? He goes, yeah, today's supposed to be my first day. I said, also, if you don't play your cards right, it might be your last day.
Make the kid paranoid. We want people to work for us. We want them to stay, guys.
You look really nervous.
Yeah, with Bonnie's like, okay, yeah, sounds great.
Boss comes out of the office, Bonnie! Sorry.
Bonnie and Friends. Catch them weekday mornings beginning at 5.
Let the Goose River Bank become your community bank. They believe a strong bank builds strong communities and would be proud to be your bank.
Thank you for joining us here on WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. Thrilled to have you joining myself, Bridgette Readel, along with Dean Wysocki, Chief Meteorologist, and Justin Storm, Meteorologist Extraordinaire. But even more fun, we have a guest in studio today. That would be Mark Wagner with North Dakota State Services. And we're talking about farm transition because, okay, it's not like just one person talks about farm transition. It's a lot. Less than 35% of U.S. farms actually have a transition plan.
Right.
Okay, when you think about some of the cases that you've had to look at and unwind when maybe mom or dad didn't make a decision and everybody else was fending for themselves, what's the longest it's taken to get something settled?
I had a good question, and I have actually had a conversation with a gentleman. You know where AIR is at?
AYR, Air North Dakota.
And they got that. I had a guy call me, and because his mom and dad didn't do anything, he spent over $350,000 just on attorney fees.
Oh,
and it was awful. And I go, so let me ask you, how many reasons do you want me to help you now? About $350,000, right? And if it's done right, we're going to avoid that probate. Mm-hmm. And the reason I mention that is because when things are probated, what really happens, guys, is all your financial information becomes what? Public
knowledge
record.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you're getting emails from somebody over in India saying, you know what, you look really cute today on Facebook, right? that little bing, bing, bing. Are you open for supper tonight?
Stop responding to those.
Maybe
not right now.
Me, India, me, your friend. No, I mean, come on, that's what happened. And we've actually had somebody from across the country try to hack into someone's estate. It happens all the time. So privacy, you guys, is the primary concern. So I just don't say probate. There's a whole encompassing thing because it's about not only protecting your privacy, but it's the privacy of your what? Your kids, your grandkids, your heirs, your beneficiaries. Yep. I mean, let's not give the devil a foothold here, right? If we're going to close that door, let's not close it. Let's slam that son of a gun, then weld the corner shut, right?
Right.
Because when we set up a trust, if it's a revocable living, there's 3 key benefits of that people love. First of all, it's private.
Yep.
Because the assets are private, nothing can be probated. Because it can't be probated, nothing can be what? Contested.
Sure.
It's a peaceful, private family settlement every single time.
So when should people start, and who should start it? Should it be mom and dad? If mom and dad aren't willing to talk, do the kids need to start this ball rolling for farmland?
Sometimes we got these farmers that, it was great back in the 50s and the 30s, and they got to get a handshake,
Mm-hmm.
You're going to sell me your corn for $20 an acre. It ain't that way anymore.
Right.
Now that you're over your net worth, when your net worth is over $50,000, you know what your chance of being sued in your lifetime is?
Oh.
And not doing over 10, 20 times?
Huge.
So, just like I tell people, could you run across 13th Avenue blindfolded and still make it? Yeah, but let me ask you, do you want to? Yeah.
Is this
you got these people that have a death wish, but that's what's happening. And so let me ask you, but you're not the one running. Your kids are the ones running. And guess who's following them? Your lovely little grandchildren.
Yep.
Who call Mama, Papa, Papa, and you give 529 plan dollars to, and all of a sudden, if you're not done right, your son or daughter has 500, 600, maybe $1 million in the bank, and that marriage it's been on the rocks. All of a sudden, that 7-year itch comes around, and when Junior's grieving, when people are grieving, they don't think logically. And they will find something else to fill that void, and that happens if things aren't done. So what we want to do, and I say avoid the probate, what we really want to do is give the kids the closure, right, guys? Mm-hmm. Let the little ones know that, hey, mom and dad have a plan here.
Yeah.
And mom and dad don't want to come along. Well, sometimes you have to have that Donald Trump conversation with him loud in your face, and maybe with some hand movements, I mean, come on. But a lot of these people that call me, their parents went through it, and they said, you know what? We are not going to let this happen to our family.
Now, we're talking about the downside here, where things go bad in a farm transition. How often have you seen them go smoothly?
Oh, I just had a call here yesterday. We also, when people sign up for us, we don't have an annual fee. We have like a one-time fee, but that also includes death settlement assistance for your family. See, if everything, now you can certainly have a lawyer help with settlement for death, but they'll charge you up to 2% of your estate, so that's $20,000 per million. You got a $5 million estate. You just cut that attorney $100,000 just for giving out checks. And trust me, they will collect that money. So what happens is that if everything has been retitled in the name of your revocable living trust, that's what we recommend here, you know how easy settlement is? The successor trustee steps up soon as not the first one passes, but on the passing of the second one, the successor trustee steps up, and all he does is just he opens up the trust account, and the bank accounts are not frozen because we took care of them, right? Mark went to the bank with you. We made sure we did them right, and I always go to the banks because banks screw things up. They're bank and trust me all the way to the bank. No thanks, no thanks. I'm going to pass on that one. Pass.
So on those trusts, you're putting in farmland, bank accounts?
Yeah, no, there's certain ways you can do it. Now, I want to pause right here because this is a great spot for an interjection, and the question has always been posed. Mark, do I have to? I don't want to have to do nothing. I'm an American. You're right. You don't have to. Well, let's just put a blindfold on and run across 13th Avenue. No, honestly, but you can do. There is a separate deed, and I got a call this morning from somebody that we're helping, and he goes, Mark, can I do it's called a TOD, and it's an acronym. It stands for Transfer on Death Deed. You certainly can do a transfer on death, and it will actually transfer from you to the person you want to get it. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't protect it from legal guardianship when you're incapacitated if you do it that way. It's not protected for, they're getting a divorce. The next thing you know, you just gave 50% of your assets to that son-in-law you never cared for anyway, right? You can't seem to get a job, but you just keep paying them money so they can buy groceries.
Right.
I mean, it's that sort of thing. So there's a couple things that you can do, but they're not advisable. Now, if you live in a little apartment and you got your Social Security and you love your little beater, well, by all means, a revocable living trust is kind of a overkill.
Sure.
But if you have deedable property that's in your personal name and you want to make sure that only it stays in your bloodline, see, when then your family gets it, they will get it at the stepped up cost basis, whether it's with a will or without a will. If they get it with a will, that's going to be less all the attorney fees. And the first 6 months, guess what happens in probate? Nothing. And a year and a half later, you start calling, and now the kids are thinking something. I better lawyer up here. I'm losing my shirt on this deal. Next thing you know, you can't talk to anybody except to your attorneys. Good luck having Easter or Thanksgiving or Christmas together again, right?
Right.
So I mean, so what's the real cost? I mean, we always look at the price of the land and stuff, but there's an intrinsic value here.
Oh yes.
We can't place our number on.
Right.
So there's so much more involved, but yet also because my dad's a farmer. My mom died. My half brother's now farming. Now I have a stepmom who's just 2 years older than I am. Grandma Connie. We love her to dickens.
Okay.
But, transition planning is so important because if there's a stroke in Grandma Connie, Dad's 75, Grandma Connie's 50-something, Dad will kick the bucket in 10 years or so. Grandma Connie might end up in a nursing home, and if it ain't done right, you know what? That $5,000 an acre property is now owned by Medicaid, yours truly.
Right, that's way different.
So there's so much here. The emotional connection here is just so much beyond surface here, you guys. So when I meet with a family, the very first thing, I like to look at their face because I'm dealing with a person.
Yeah.
I said, well, tell me really what's on your heart. I want to know. I want to know what's on your heart. What are you really trying to do here? And if I have to force it out of a person, guess what? They're not ready.
Right.
But if I say, you know what, Mark, I'm really concerned about my kids. They're not making wise choices. There's some assets involved, and I'm afraid, Johnny's going to get that money and wrap himself around a telephone pole with a fancy car. He's going to kill himself, and I don't want that to happen. I said, well, that's a really good reason to maybe start looking at a few tools in our tool belt to maybe give you that peace of mind that people are looking for. So it just really the conversation starts about, let me tell you, help me understand. I want to understand who you are, what's making you tick. And when I can do that, it works so well. And so I just like to listen. I like to observe. It's hard because we all like to talk because we're in that business of talking, right? Right. But our voice isn't the most important voice, right? It's the clients, what their concerns are. And then we go about the process of making certain recommendations on how to get that done. Now, it's also important. I am not an attorney, and I don't pretend I'm an attorney, okay? What am I? I'm an estate planner. I do work with lawyers. Now, you can have an attorney draw up your own estate plan, but what typically happens, they run anywhere between $5,000 to $7,000, even over $10,000. But what happens is after the trust is done, you guys, that attorney will mail that client out what's called a letter of instruction. It's like a 4 or 5 page document with all these things they need to do, and they're going, what? Next thing you know, they're looking at each other. You're looking, they grab their phone for another $500 an hour. By the time they're done, it's over 10, maybe 15,000. Happens all the time. Oh. I just had an attorney call me. One of my greatest compliments, unsolicited compliments, was from an attorney here about 2 months ago, and there was an 80-year-old couple that was just in her office. They go, Mark, I heard about your services, and there's this couple. They have a trust, but it's unfunded, and they don't know anything what to do, and they're afraid to call the attorney because they only get more $1,000 legal fees, and they're tired of paying the attorney. And you take care of all that non-legal administration. I say, yes, we do. He goes, well, maybe we got somebody for you that you can visit with. So it's a really a bittersweet, but it was one of the better ones I've gotten. I mean, the ones you don't fish for are always the best ones to catch, right?
That's usually the case.
Yes. The ones you're not fishing for are always the best ones to catch.
Now, Mark, and I don't know if you can handle or answer this question for me. So I've got a friend down in Nebraska. Okay. They own, I don't know how many acres. Father passed away. Mom is still alive. Mom's 100.
Praise God.
Living by herself on the farm.
Well, that is amazing.
Isn't it?
I mean, accolades. Give that lady a check just for $100 for being 100 years old.
No kidding. Now, they have everything split. From what I understand, everything is split. They've got 2 daughters. Everything is split evenly between, 3 daughters. Everything is split equally between the 3 daughters, third, when she passes. They just realized, 2 of the sisters realized that the one sister who has conservatorship, I guess, over the estate, is taking money from the estate.
Oh yeah, that's a no-no.
Yeah,
a couple.
What can they do? Oh, I mean,
the first thing I'm going to make a recommendation is, after hearing that, I got a couple light bulbs to start going crazy. Neurons are popping, you guys. The first thing I'm going to say is, I hope to God they did not put kids' names on property, because if they did, they won't get the stepped-up cost basis. They're going to get capital gain tax from when that property. So let them inherit it.
Right.
Then the second thing, a conservatorship. Yeah, that conservator can be sued. They have a fiduciary responsibility to serve the others in a capacity, and you have to look at their document, their power of attorney document. There may be that their mom has. It may be such that so and so gets a flat fee every year for driving expense and stuff, but I did have one family I was helping. They found out the son-in-law took over $80,000 from mom.
Wow. This is about on that
and it
level.
Was so. Yep. I was just.
How do you do that?
You look at the guy. $80,000 later, I'm like, and he is talking to you like nobody's business. I can't put my mind around it, you guys. It's so good to have proper legal people helping you. And it's also good to have like a planner and a stake. That's all I do is trust work. All I do. I don't fish for other things. I don't want those other fishes. They're they break off my line anyway.
Slimy and bony.
those carps. I don't want a carp, you know.
Hey, Mark, if someone wants to get a hold of you, how could they do that, and where could they go to, like website or social media, to get more information about this, so when they're ready to make that call, they can do it?
I think that's a good question. First of all, I do have a website, you guys, but I did it myself. It works, but I did it myself. But go India State Service. You can hit the contact button, and I think I'll get it still. Or the best way to call me is call or text. You know, I just didn't want to spend $15,000 that they were telling me I needed to have. It's like, I don't think I need to have that, but thanks anyway. I need a toupee, but do I really want to wear one?
Right.
No.
And that was I understand what you're saying totally.
That was just ndestates.com.
Yeah, ndestateservices.com. The best way to call me, just give me a ring. I'm really user friendly. 701-318-0908. That's 701-318-0908. My last thing I'm going to say, the people that you think have it all together, I got a secret for you.
They don't.
They usually
They don't have nothing together.
No.
It's a train wreck. Call me if you need some help. I'm very user-friendly. I do not discriminate against any client. I don't charge you more because you're worth more. We have flat fees how we work with people.
Yeah. Excellent.
Right on. Well, thank you, Mark,
You're
very
welcome.
much from North Dakota Estate Services. Really appreciate the information. And again, if you need help getting in contact with Mark, you can reach out to us and we'll get you forwarded over to him. We're going to take a look at the American Ag Network right now when we come back on an ag topic and a check on the forecast and, of course, any questions you may have.
You want a fun night out with the family or just a great place to hang out with the guys? Fargo Billiards and Gastropub has all the fun under one roof. Foosball, ping pong, shuffleboard, pinball, darts, beanbags, bubble hockey, and of course, pool tables galore. They have delicious food and your favorite beverages to wash it all down. It's a super fun atmosphere and a great place to hang out with friends. Open for lunch or dinner every day. Fargo Billiards and Gastropub, just west of I-29 on 32nd Avenue South in Fargo.
Hey Siri, load that truck. Hey Siri, grind those parts. Hey Siri, clean up that job site. Hey Siri, paint those walls.
Sure, I'll get right on that just as soon as I develop superpowers and grow some robotic arms and legs.
Hi, Nancy Kelly here with Labor Masters. If you're a business owner and need some help, think Labor Masters. We provide last-minute help in the FM and Lakes area. Find us online at labormasters.net and leave the navigating to Siri. Labor Masters. Get the quality, reliable help you need today.
Attention job seekers, check this out. Plains Grain and Agronomy is busy and is hiring more team members for their locations at Enderlin, Marion, and Mott, North Dakota. Hiring for the following positions: Class A truck driver, custom applicator, general laborer, and precision ag service technician. They're hiring immediately, full-time, with great pay and great benefits. Join the Plains Grain and Agronomy team online at plainsgrain.com. Ripley's in Earhart has a great job opportunity for you. Ripley's is now hiring directional drill operators, backhoe operators, and plow operators. Your career opportunity is waiting in the utility construction, directional boring, fiber optic splicing, and fiber to the home industry. Apply online at ripleys-inc.com or call Ripley's for an immediate interview. 218-842-5322.
Mixed action in the markets on Thursday. This is the American Ag Network of Jesse Allen with this market update. We're talking now with Arlen Suderman of StoneX. Arlen, a bit of a mixed trade in grains and oilseeds on Thursday. The soy complex a bit higher. I know we saw some more sales to China announced on Thursday morning's export wire, it looked like to me. Quarter wheat down a little bit. So kind of just an overall mixed tone in the grains here today, it looks like.
Yeah, as we look at it, we're focused on kind of fundamentals today, whereas yesterday it was all about the Fitch downgrading of U.S. credit. So those concerns are easing a bit today, allowing the commodity prices to focus back on the fundamentals. That has crude oil bouncing back a couple percent today. The grain and oil seeds, well, if you look at the oil seeds, soybeans higher because StoneX came out with their August customer survey on yield, putting it at 50.5 bushels per acre. And if that's verified, then we have very tight stocks going into next year. That would put new crop ending stocks at only 177 million bushels, or about a 4.7 stocks to use ratio. On the other hand, our corn yield we put at 177 bushels per acre based on what customers told us. And that would leave supplies more than ample going into the coming year with export demand hurting. And of course, this morning's export sales, the new crop was very strong for soybeans, and corn was very weak. That continues to be the case going forward. So therefore, we saw soybeans rallying today, modest gains, corn under pressure, pulled also lower by wheat, seeing big losses there, just no demand for wheat. And Russia continues to set the world price well below where we're at and garner the demand.
All right, we appreciate it. Arlen Suderman with StoneX. Mixed trade in livestock with hogs under triple-digit pressure with cattle mixed around unchanged. This is the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen.
Barn door.
Barn doors, thunderclouds. Dean, I'm not even going to give you the brop.
Okay.
There's your leaf blower. Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. It's 1:57. We got about 3 minutes left of our show. Why don't we take a look at that forecast? Because I don't even think we've talked about weather yet
I don't think we touched it. Boy, Mark is a character. That
was fun.
He
that
is
was
a
great
great
information.
Individual. Boy, oh boy, I'll tell you what. For our area today, partly cloudy right now for the most part. Mainly sunny just northwest of the FM area, but from the FM area east and south, we're looking at partly cloudy skies, and we're looking at temperatures right now close to 90. We'll make it into
90.
The lower. Is it just hit 90?
Just hit 90.
All right. We'll be in the lower 90s for this afternoon, and humidity levels are up there a little bit, so it's a touch on the humid side, and wind's not that strong. Light winds as well.
Here's an interesting thing. What does this make for number of 90-degree days in Fargo? Is it like 23? 22, 23?
22.
22?
In a row or in total?
Total for the
you.
year. So around the area, let's just do immediate area. We're going anywhere from like 7 to 12 days at 90 degrees or hotter. But we're at 22.
For the whole summer.
Right. But why here? Why is it just Fargo? That is like doubled the rest of the area.
I know where you're going with this.
I have a question.
I'm not biting.
You don't want to bite?
I know where you're going with this.
It's because it's all asphalt. All the asphalt holds the heat.
Well, but the temperature is taken out at the airport.
They got a lot of asphalt out there.
But
but none of the other airports are reporting temperatures
none
as
of
hot.
the other
Even
areas around us.
The closest temperature sensors.
So we have this theory, and I've been in discussion with, and so is Justin, with Daryl Richardson, because he runs NDAWN.
Yes.
And the airport reading is typically about 3 to 4 degrees warmer.
It's been a consistent
than any of the NDAWN sites during the day.
2 or 3.
During the night, it's pretty close. And during the start of the day, but during that afternoon, and so the Weather Service has gone out there and calibrated it, says it's fine, but it just makes you
wonder.
It makes you wonder that is our airport the only one? Because remember, all of our climate data comes from the actual readings from these different airports.
Mm-hmm.
If these thermometers are not in sync, or if they are too, we're going totally.
It's just
we're going
goofy.
totally conspiracy theory here.
It's just weird that every day it is 2 or 3 degrees warmer than the closest observatory to Fargo.
I am sidetracking this whole conversation for one little fun fact. When Mark said he got a call from Air North Dakota, AYR.
Population 11.
And what was the high school mascot when Air had a high school? Anyone? Bueller?
Oh, I think I cracked this joke yesterday, but I can't remember.
The Air Rifles.
Nice, the rifles.
Well, that might trigger some people now.
Oh!
Hey!
So a few showers coming in over the weekend, possibly Saturday night. Right now, it doesn't look like a big deal, but if you're heading south into South Dakota, they could get some very heavy rain out of this. So that's going to do it for us today.
Done.
Yeah, it will.
All right. Want to thank everybody for listening. The Jay Thomas Show's coming up next.
AM 970 and FM 93.1, WDAY, Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo.